My last video was about how to invest long-term in the stock market, but the truth is, the stock market is no longer the best way to make money by investing anymore. Unless you have a significant amount of capital to invest, it's going to take you decades to make any large returns with stocks following that method. However, Bitcoin has dramatically outperformed every other asset since its inception, and by conservative estimates, Bitcoin could be worth $1 million in just a decade from now. That's a 1,250% increase from today's prices. Bitcoin's annualized return over the past decade was about 230%, which is more than 10 times higher than the NASDAQ 100, the next best major asset class. Because of this, I invest a significant portion of my income in blockchain, specifically altcoins at this present moment. My approach to crypto is completely different from my stock plan, at least for now. It will evolve into some long-term trading and then turn over into long-term positions after that. You could treat investing in crypto the same as my stock market method by just setting an automatic DCA into Bitcoin forever, keeping it simple and watching your money grow without any extra work. And I'd recommend doing just that if you want to do something safe and relatively steady as crypto gets. But if you want to do something that will actually make you some potentially life-changing money, follow the plan I'm about to reveal. But before I get into it, I want to stress that nothing in this video is financial advice. I'm just showing you how I do things, and you can do with that information as you will. So right now, I'm still fairly young and not even halfway through my career. So if I lose all the money that I put into crypto, it doesn't matter that much. I'd be able to recover from that very unlikely event, but it's virtually impossible for Bitcoin to go to zero at this point because it's now being bought and held by the world's largest financial institutions and the most powerful nation states in the world. There will be times where the prices dip even as far as 60%, but that's fairly regular with crypto assets, and it's the nature of the market. And all you need to do during those times is hold and buy more, honestly. You can think of it as a big discount for buying the coins. Always keep in mind the famous Warren Buffett quote of being greedy when others are fearful and fearful when others are greedy. This quote is mentioned in just about every investment video that exists, but for a very good reason. It's the way you need to view the market in order to make a profit and not be the one that others are making profit from. So the long story short is to DCA into current prices, sell at the top. I'll get into how to identify the top soon. Then hold them, wait for the bottom, buy up a ton of assets with our profits that we made during the bull run in the bear market, and then hold them for over a decade, accumulating more during future dips and just stacking that bag as full as we can. And if you're new to this kind of thing and that sounded like a lot, it really isn't. It's actually pretty simple. And I'm going to take you through all the details of the process on how I'm going to make this work and how you can make it work in this bull run. So right now I'm buying, as I have been for the last 2 years. Any extra money that I have left over after investing in my retirement account and my necessary expenses, I put it into crypto. And whatever amount you're able to put into, that's fine. Some months I can only afford to put a couple $100 in, and there's no shame in that. And sometimes I can't afford to do it at all because, life happens. And remember to only invest what you're willing to lose. But if you're like me, I'm sending every extra dollar I can towards my financial future and my goal of financial freedom. And that's because I have full conviction in my plan. So now we're going to get into the most critical point of the plan, selling at or near the highs. I generally wouldn't suggest trying to time the market like this, but I believe I might have found the best way to navigate this challenge. Your first step is going to be setting price targets that you'll sell profit of your portfolio when those price targets are reached. This, of course, is very difficult and it is impossible to do. I can't see the future, and I don't know what the top price of any cryptocurrency will be. However, I can put together a relatively decent range of possibilities based on a predicted total crypto market cap value and previous all-time highs, as well as some other key metrics. All those calculations aren't something I'll be getting into a lot of detail here in this video, maybe if at all, but what I do want to do is share the best indicators that I've found of bull market highs, and those are as follows. When the crypto market is at an all-time high, euphoria is through the roof. People on the news and social media are calling for even higher highs, and everyone is ecstatic. buying up these coins like crazy out of FOMO and ultimately making the worst financial decisions of their lives. We aren't going to be those people. Remember that Warren Buffett quote? So we're going to take a step back and see things from a bird's eye view and profit off all the people that are coming in trying to enter the market way too late as the prices are soaring. And if you followed my suggestions of buying while the prices are at current lows, you're going to have some nice bags full of crypto ready to dump on these people who frankly don't know what they're doing. So the next thing you're going to do is look at something like viewstats.com and look for massive boosts in crypto channel views and subscriptions. Let's look at Alex Becker and Altcoin Daily, two of the biggest crypto YouTubers out there. The last time the crypto exploded, which was around when Trump got elected in November 2024, you can see a massive spike in subscribers coming to this channel. These subscribers are coming in from the end of October to the middle of November, and they're the ones that caused this big spike in Bitcoin during the month of November. This will happen again when Bitcoin gets to another all-time high. This same kind of pattern. Look for that. That's my first key metric. You can also look at tools like Lunarcrush. It tracks social media trends. And when crypto is at the top of this chart, you're likely near or at the peak of the crypto market. Right now, in the middle of April, crypto is still pretty low on this list. But when the price is pumping and everyone is talking about it, trying to FOMO into the market and trying to make a quick buck, you'll definitely see it right at the top. And this is when we'll be taking crypto that we've bought over the last year or two, if you have been in it as long as me, and make some serious money while they make pennies on the dollar or likely lose their money because they'll end up holding it too long and ride the wave back down into the bear market. The next thing I want to do is look at the 4-year Bitcoin cycle. Some people claim that we've broken the cycle and this time is different, but the numbers that I'm seeing say otherwise. And it's very likely that we're going to still hold the pattern. And I'm going to go ahead and show you the charts here. So starting with BGeometrics. On this site, you can see it marks out each Bitcoin halving as well as highs and lows in its price as an apparent result of these halvings. So take notice after every halving, there seems to be a new all-time high around halfway before the next halving, right? So take a look at November 2012, the halving then. The next all-time high after that was in December of 2013. So that's about 13 months after the halving. Okay, and we're going to start to see a little bit of a pattern here. So the August 2016 halving then had a December 2017 all-time high. That was about 16 months after the 2016 halving. Okay, and then take a look at the May 2020 halving. The all-time high after that was November 2021, which is 18 months after halving. Okay, so we see that between 13 and 18 months after a halving, we see a massive blow-off top all-time high in Bitcoin. So if we extrapolate on that and look at the last halving we had in May of 2024, if the pattern continues, it could be 16 to 19 months after the halving that we see an all-time high. So that would put the top of Bitcoin's price this bull run between September and December of 2025. So definitely be paying attention around that time because that very well could be the top for our current bull cycle. We're going to look at more patterns in some charts. So next we're going to look at the Bitcoin rainbow chart and the power law chart to give us more data points and insight on what the high could be for Bitcoin this cycle. These charts are based off logarithmic math and stuff. You can read up on it more on their websites. But I'm going to reiterate something the Bitcoin rainbow chart put on its site. And that reads, the rainbow charts are not investment advice. Past performance is not an indication of future results. You cannot predict the price of Bitcoin with a rainbow, obviously. It is meant to be a fun way of looking at historical long-term price movements, disregarding the daily volatility and noise. There is no scientific basis underpinning it. Okay, so with that, on this chart, we're worried right now about the support and resistance lines that you can see here. If it continues to follow its previous patterns, which it always has so far, we can expect Bitcoin to be somewhere between these lines at its next all-time high. And if Bitcoin tops out between September to December of this year, according to the rainbow chart, Bitcoin topped in the dark orange or red the last cycle. The top would be anywhere between $220,000 and $439,000. I can definitely see a $200,000 Bitcoin. $439,000 can only really come about if the bull market is particularly strong, but that is still a possibility at this point in time. So I'd love it if we get there. That'd be fantastic. But if we look at the power law chart, we see similar predictions with the very top of the resistance being at a bit over $400,000 in that time range. Although we might not hit the top of that resistance, I think at least 200,000 is a very realistic price target for Bitcoin this year. And if you're into altcoins, we usually see altcoin tops very soon after Bitcoin tops. I'm personally exclusively in altcoins at this moment. But you won't go wrong either way, taking profits at those levels with whatever you're holding. Don't try too hard to time the top or you'll lose all your gains. Really, when we get to this point where the crypto market is at its top, you want to be dollar cost averaging yourself out of the market. And that's the most responsible way to go about doing it. So let's assume everything went well and you've accumulated a bunch of wealth from this bull run. What are you going to do then? Well, the first thing is we're going to wait at least a year. You're just going to sit on your money. You're going to put it in a high yield savings account or something, pay your taxes, and then do the following. So we're going to go back to the BGeometrics chart. You can also see a trend for lows in between bull markets, like we did for the highs in between bear markets. So take these examples. The December 2017 high then had a low come about in December 2018. So about a year after the high. And then the next cycle, you see the November 2021 high had a low in November of 2022. Again, exactly a year. So we could see a late fall or winter high this year in 2025. And then all we have to do is wait for the low about a year later, as long as it follows the previous trends, which it probably will, and then scoop up a bunch of Bitcoin. I have a bunch of altcoins right now. When I sell, I'm going to have my money in cash. And then when the Bitcoin low comes about a year after the high this year, I'm going to buy up a bunch of Bitcoin. That's because Bitcoin's going to be worth millions in the future. And I'm going to take the Bitcoin I buy in 2026, early 2027, save that forever until it's time to retire, then only take out a little bit that I need to survive and continue to let the rest grow. It's literally a infinite money glitch. So after all of this, some of you might feel like this could be a little risky, and yeah, that's true. But you got to risk it for the biscuit, right? However, the beautiful thing is that if you were to throw all your money into this, which you shouldn't do, this is not financial advice. Why are you listening to me, a random dude on the internet? Anyway, you might end up losing half your money if you really mess this up. In the worst case scenario, you lose probably about half of your money from this point, okay? However, if you do this right, and if you follow all the things that I laid out in this video correctly, you won't mess it up. You have a very good chance at multiplying your money by like 5 times, at least. Let's say you put 10 grand in the market. Worst case, you walk out with 5K, which would be a bit of a bummer, but really not the end of the world, okay? However, you could turn that $10,000 into at least $50,000. Honestly, it could probably get up to 100 grand if you follow this plan. Maybe, who knows, even more depending on which altcoins you get into. And this video is already getting a little long, so if you want to know which altcoins are in my portfolio, let me know in the comments. I'd be glad to make a video and talk about it. And if you guys are into stuff like crypto and personal finance and such, I'm starting a community that I'd love to have you guys join so we can talk, like one-on-one or as a group about personal finance. And I also like to get into things like philosophy and metaphysics as well. It'll be a lot of fun. So go to my website It's in the description. Check that out. It's called YBOC Nation. Go ahead and like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to continue to join me on my journey to financial independence and self-actualization. That's all I have to say about that.